Hey everyone, while working on my farming tier list, I decided to revisit Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer's got some damage buffs last year, so I wanted to see if it could farm efficiently in high-end maps like Soul Hunting Ground. You can see here my character is jumping around during offline farming, which does remind me a bit of the Lightbringer farming as well. You can see my asset demonstrations are all over the place, and my shadows are one-shotting the monsters too. I can also get kill counts up to 165 per minute, which is great, but can it compete with other S tier classes like Stellar Hunter? Stay tuned for all the details. Also, fantastic news, I have codes to give away. I have 10C, 10 global, and 10 EU codes. In the comment section, let me know what are some off-meta farming strategies that are worth trying. I'm always curious about new farming strategies, so let me know. Even if it's not great, I'm still interested to see what you've tried in the past. Please include your Discord ID and what server you play on, such as C, Global, or EU, and the winners will get codes April 15, 2024. First, why use Phantom Dancer? Phantom Dancer is quite popular on low-level maps since it has Zenny and increased drop passives. The skills of interest are Snatch, Rob, and Snatcher. The biggest problems in the past is the lack of damage, which is why it was hard to do these on the high-end maps like Soul Hunting Ground. Next, Illusion Storm is a great AoE that hits a group of enemies just like Arm Cannon would for Lightbringer. The passive Light and Shadow has the advantage of dropping shadows that can also kill monsters. It's almost like a hell plant for begetters. Next, if you have the third line for Blurred Light and Shadow Star Rune, you can have an extra Night Shadow. I don't have this rune, so it is optional. Next, the good thing about this build is it doesn't heavily rely on runes to farm like Gunslinger, which needs the Flightfire rune with the third line and a high first line. It also doesn't need expensive cards like Mistress Darkcard that Lightbringers use to avoid using arm cannon shells. The setup is closer to Stellar Hunters, which doesn't involve a lot of RNG for runes, and the gear is fairly easy to get. The advantage of having another competitive farming class is you can add another class for your group hunting party, which will greatly increase your farming output. Next are the skills. Here are my thief skills. Here are my rogue skills. Here are my stalker skills. Here are my Shadow Chaser skills. Next, from my auto attack bar, I have auto attack, practice while learning, and I had plagiarized overthrust from removals from Lighthousen. And then I have Illusion Storm. The Illusion Storm is important to proc the shadows, which gives you some extra kills. When in the Soul Hunting Ground map, here are the cast cooldown and cast delay for Illusion Storm. It would have been lower if I'd gone to get the cat buffs, but rolling for that buff is extremely painful and one of the reasons I don't like doing the Lightbringer build sometimes. Next, for gear, I use Voodoo Blade to help with my Ignore Defense. Ignore Defense is required for combo arrow and acid demonstration. Next, for card, I use the Soul Morpho card to try and keep things semi-free-to-play friendly. Alternatively, the Ancient Artifact User card is the optimal card. Next, I use the Cursed Armor for more Ignore Defense. I use the Moonex Star card for more Ignore Defense as well. Ultimately, you would use the Poi Tata Star card instead. Next, for Garment, I use the Imperial Knight's Cape for the auto attack damage and critical damage percentage. I found my auto attack was having problems one-shotting, which is why this garment is very important. Next, for card, I use the Mastering Star card for the physical damage increase, which is based on your luck. Next, for footgear, I use the Dragon Slayer War Boost for the attack and penetration percentage. For card, I use the Flute Player Star card for the move speed. Next, for my first accessory, I use the Heart of Molten Fire to increase my acid demonstration damage. For my first card, I use the Scarecrow card for the damage to undead monsters. Any damaging card works, as long as you're able to one-shot monsters with the acid demonstration. For my second accessory, I used another Heart of Molten Fire for the same reason. For card, I used the Shiphead Star card for a chance to use acid demonstration when using auto attack. Next, I used both the Wind Chaser for my weapon. I really like the raw damage that comes from Wind Chaser, which is why I chose this over the Crab Bow. Next for card, I use the Chipette card for the chance to cast Acid Demonstration when using auto attack. The other card is the Desert Wolf card for dealing with small monsters like the Raven. Next for head, I use Small Secret for the 1% extra Zenny. I use the Bigfoot Lobster card for dealing more damage based on refined level of your headwear. Next for face, I use Lucky Red Packet for 1% extra Zenny. Next for mouth, I use Carp's Wish for 1% extra Zenny. Next for back, I use One-Up Captain for the movement speed and the SP recovery. Next for tail, I use Panel Guardian for the skill delay minus 10%. Next for shadow equipment, the one of interest is the Arcane Codex for the skill cooldown and skill delay reduction. This is optional. I only had this because I did Lightbringer farming. Next for Oracle Mirror, I use the Fire Knife so it converts my damage to fire. And for Relic, I use the Lord of Vane for the penetration percentage. The food I eat is the 6 original Will Fish Steak for the extra movement speed. I also eat Dex B meals. With Overthrust and my Dex B meal and no cat buffs on the Soul Hunting Ground, here are my stats and attributes. First for attributes, I max out Dex and Luck and then the remaining into Agi. I have 32,000 attack, 197.1% movement speed, 480% attack speed, 53% penetration, 136.9% critical damage, 12.9% auto attack damage increase, 2% skill damage increase, 191% damage, 134.7% physical damage increase, 194.5% ignore defense, and 78% fire damage. Next for Adventure Handbook, I'm using 85% deposit and have 3,324 attack. One of the downsides is you do need high damage for your acid demonstrations and shadows to one-shot monsters, so this isn't the most free-to-play friendly class. Next, here are my advanced ruins. I go for the high damage minor ruins. I only have the arrow combo ruin for dealing more triangle shot damage, which leads to more combo shot damage from my shadows. Again, I don't have the blurred light and shadow third line ruin, otherwise I would use that. Next, I show my starting combat time as 0 out of 720 minutes. I also show my bag, which has about 265 million Zenny. Then I begin farming on Soul Hunting Grounds. Ideally, you start at the bottom and stay at the bottom since it's very dense. I show my shadows can one-shot monsters, which is great. Also, you can see the acid demonstrations being put on the ground, which lasts for 30 seconds. I show my movement speed can go up to 269.1%, and this is because of the Gachas and my move speed pet. When off cooldown, my movement speed goes down to 237.1%. If you don't have this pet, you can also get the cat buffs on this map to get movement speed as well. Next, I go to offline farming. Next, I show a few of my kill counts per minute. It was typically more than 100, and then maxed out around 165. This map was a bit busy since it was during the day, so it wasn't always this high throughout the entire time. Next, my summary shows 17.2 million Zenny. Then I log in and go through my detailed summary report. A notable drop is the bag of Zenny was at 929. I show my bag again, it is at 282 million raw Zenny now. Next, I show my ending combat time to show that it was just run for one day. Next, here are the results. My total raw Zenny, including selling the bags of Zenny, was 19.5 million. My Stellar Hunter was farming at around 19.8 million, so it was a bit lower. I'll put a link to that video in the description. But it's definitely quite close to Stellar Hunters, which has a lower requirement and less RNG compared to Gunslingers or Lightbringer. I'd rank Phantom Dancer as S tier even for endgame farming at Soul Hunting Ground. I didn't think this was possible before because the kill count would have been too low, but I think with these optimizations it's definitely quite good. Ideally though, you should use this with a party of other classes to get the group hunting bonuses. If you're just farming solo, I would prefer using Stellar Hunter, Gunslinger with a High Flight Fire Ruin, or the Lightbringer farming. It was nice to try this out and seeing the potential of Phantom Dancers even for late game maps. So good luck if you want to try this out as well. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I would recommend, and if you want more farming videos, check out this playlist over here.